I'm interested in digging in a little bit into how the wiki comes in as a tool for you. Like, I've obviously been involved with wikis for a long time, and I've seen many people build wiki communities, and a lot of them have failed. A lot of them just never get off the ground. The vast majority just never get anywhere. When I look at Appropedia, what I see is a pretty thriving community and a lot of really high quality content. And I'm just curious what you've learned in building the community that actually works, because it's a pretty specialized topic. But I also know that you have access to a pretty unique renewable resource, i.e. students learning things, right? Yeah. And so I'm curious in how your curriculum factors into the growth of Appropedia, and also just generally what you've learned about building the community.
Wow. So when Appropedia started, I didn't realize that there was a few other ones out there. And then after we started, a few more came on board, wikis like Appropedia. Well, in fact, before Appropedia, I had, with some students and some other people, had hand built a wiki, and it was terrible. I spent 1,000 hours building it, and after 1 year, there was less than 1,000 hours of people having viewed it. So I would have been a better use of my time to go like door to door and just talk to people, right? And it was funny because I totally forgot one of the tenets of appropriate technology, which is don't rebuild the wheel. So then after a year of that, we're like, okay, well, what is out there that already is, already does the technology and has a community, and it was MediaWiki. And so we built it on top of the MediaWiki platform. So we were able to leverage a community of people doing the coding, and that really freed us up. And then early on, we decided, we don't have any money. We're going to focus on building the community instead of building the technology. So if you go to Appropedia right now, what you'll find is that it's pretty ugly, right? Like it's not going to win any design awards, but it works, and it has 100 contributions every day. It's been edited over 340,000 times. 65 million visitors. Like I'm pretty proud of those things, and I think it's because we just always focused on community. And so some examples, like here was one of my early examples of success. I had told myself a couple of things that I would drop out if I hadn't hit a few milestones. So the first milestone was within a year, I needed there to be edits that I hated, that I just thought were terrible, And if I didn't have that, then I was building just like, and which is cool, but that isn't what what we were setting out to do. And early on, like within a few months after Appropedia launched, Chris Watkins, Kurt Beckman came on board, Kat Lane after that, and they're also advocates of that community engagement. One was that after 2 years, if I couldn't step back and it lived without me, I would step back. And so well before the 2-year mark reached this point where there was like, I definitely wasn't the leader, part of a group of people who had the pleasure of getting to lead Appropedia. And so that was another mark of success for me. You couldn't, very early on, you could no longer call it like, my project. There's a bunch of people. It's a bunch of people's project. So those are the positive things I've learned. Some of the things that I wish I would have learned earlier is that I got to figure out how it can earn money, so that it can live on its own. And I'm stepping down as president as soon as we find somebody. I've put in a lot of time on it, and I have a couple of other focuses. I always want to be involved, but we're actually looking for some more new leadership, which I think also makes sense for it as a project to get new life and new vision thrown into it. And then I want to let me just cycle back on one of the other points you mentioned, is that we also brought in a service learning element, and that's been really great at keeping an infusion of quality content. So what we've done is we've set up relationships with teachers where students at the undergraduate and graduate level are adding very specialized, very specific, very high detail content that then the teacher becomes the trainer of, you know. So they're making sure that that stuff is quality. And it's harder work for the teacher, but the value add is so big for them because you're no longer reading the same paper over and over again. You know, the students have to go do new things. So even at the freshman level. So an example of a freshman project would be in Northern California in Humboldt, there's a marsh called the Arcata Marsh. It's the wastewater treatment center for Arcata. Right? 15,000 people's waste is treated in what looks like the most beautiful park in you know, that you could imagine on flat land. It's really pretty, but it's our wastewater treatment. If you had searched that 8 years ago, you know, alternative methods for wastewater treatment using natural plants, you wouldn't find anything on that site, right? But what this 100 level class did is they had 80 students go out and research each aspect of the marsh, and then write about it with photos in detail, and then the teacher helped to collate and curate all of that. So now you don't even have to, every week there's new visitors to Arcata Marsh that want to replicate it in their city or their country.